Yeah, this cooperative is a word we are adopting now. As much as we work like that, but we want to formalize it and we want to allow people, because like I said, there's a generational shift in consumers. We see that people want to be more involved. Earlier, it was more like volunteerism, but now we know people want to get involved in the pricing of something, or they have ideas in which things could be made better, and we want that to be a part of it. So we widened ourselves instead of going just deeper into the market and trying to constantly fix this market. And I have a specific term that I use. I always say I don't like the song and dance of market, because with great difficulty I learned Facebook. And then I was told 2 years ago I have to now learn Instagram. And I said, I am not doing it. This is too much of song and dance, to be able to sell groceries. For me, groceries are essentials. I would agree if I were selling something very exotic or something that's not for everyone. But something that everybody should be eating, I said, I don't want to be singing so much about it. So we said, let's go wider and not just deeper into this market and every day cracking on the numbers and selling and seeing if you are able to make sense. So we try to kind of divide ourselves in that supply chain process. In how we grow is where PGS OC plays an important role. This started 20 years ago as a certification narrative. Today, PGS is a globally accepted certification system, and we were part of that startup process. And the way we designed it, or we went through the whole iteration process 20 years ago, was to make it a system which farmers can run on their own. Because the traditional certification system is like your university degree. There's an accreditation process, and there are third-party auditors who come and audit the farmers. Yeah, and that was not something that all of us wanted. And small farmers, again, it's very difficult to get access third-party auditors and get things done. So PGS was a counter-narrative for that. So it's a more democratic system. So that's how we started. And this 16th Trust is the one focused on Ragihalli, Bannerghatta National Park. So we have been doing, the last 3 years we have spent researching on the sericulture value chain. So probably in the next 2 years we will actually be working on farm in sericulture. So that's where we are moving towards. And and ways of farming in the elephant corridor. This 35 farmers that I was talking about, it's on the west side of the Bannerghatta forest, a panchayat called Tarlu, which has abundance of resources in terms of water. And Bannerghatta itself, within that area, has this very different microclimates. We call it microclimates when the resource availabilities are different in different places. Like the village I live in, water is a problem, it is scarce. But this place, this 35 farmers that we are working with, water is in abundance. So we are looking at horticulture as an option. 35 farmers growing good organic vegetables is good market for, and they have a good marketplace in Bangalore for that. Then Vasudha actually initially happened for processing. They still process dals on that stone mill. They still do that. And now we are in the process of mechanizing all that. We had some recognitions happening also for the Federation in the last 6 months. The government of Karnataka has a scheme called One District, One Product. And they were desperately looking for women groups which actually can take some leadership roles, and they identified our women as capable of doing that. So now our women have also been identified as trainers for other self-help groups to learn things on processing, all that. That's it. And how we sell is where I think Buffalo Back we started like farmers markets, and then we have run CSAs, informal CSAs. We still have families which just tell us, weekly they call us and tell us, just give us anything. Just give us 3 kgs or 4 kgs of anything. It's an informal CSA that still runs. And those are very helpful for us. It helps us in getting, when there is excess from the farmers, we are not thinking too much about the logistics. We are just telling the farmers, okay, send it. Because we have people who will take it and cook with it anyway, and they'll not waste it. So that way we have had this various informal things happening. So by this year, like I said, our 10th year, we hope to formalize all that and use technology. I've also been very, very tech averse and very skeptical rather. I do use, but I've been very skeptical on will it include people. So we are now, we have a good team. We have a good tech support from a company called Mobigini and other friends. So they have been supporting us. They have been trying to fix the back end. And yeah, the last I hear was some beta versions and testings happening here. So I think we'll soon have a tech platform where we are not looking at it as an e-com platform, because that was something we were very clear about what we didn't want. We didn't want people just coming, dropping things into their shopping bag and then expecting things to arrive in the next 1 hour. We said, no, that's not, it's not possible for us also. We need more interaction. So we have designed the platform in such a way that it's like a subscription, but then after you subscribe, there are a lot of things we'll keep engaging you with. So not just transactions. So that's how we have designed it. Yeah, so these are kind of those 3 areas in the process which we are focusing on. Yes, everywhere it quickly translates into people, wanting to understand and wanting to see this as an opportunity for where they can also leverage their position. So there is, so that also is another factor that, we stay aware of. So there is this pressure for us also to be able to grow and extend ourselves. And so it's sometimes very difficult for us to draw those boundaries. And so finally we said, no, Ragihalli Panchayat is where we can expand ourselves into, because again, the intervention is not about, providing one solution. Like this Vasudha setup has worked in my settlement. Like 16 Doddi ideally means there are 16 settlements in that place. And there is dense forest between these settlements. So it's not easy for women to walk that 1.5, 2 kilometers every day and come to one centralized space and working also. So the models have to be developed in such a way that it's decentralized. And again, to make this holistic sense, you can't alienate their farmlands or farming activity from livelihood activity. For us, it took 2 years to be able to buy ragi from their own fields. So that meant also working on their fields to be able to grow organic ragi. So it takes time to plug all this. And even if we expand the team and have a large organization, we didn't want to go on a project delivery mode. So for now, we have fixed this boundary of Ragihalli and we are trying to work within that. But yes, there are a lot of inquiries. So that's where we take to that training or, consultancy also now. In fact, I've been trying to explain to the women what it means to be a consultant, so that they can actually typically be those consultants who can probably help other women or other groups fix something or do something there. So that's something in a way which we are expanding our things. And of course, advocacy is today, I would say this last 2 years, especially after Corona, advocacy has been our strength. So that way, what we are able to do is present workable models to local governments, and there have been good reception also. There have been certain panchayats which have been very, very keen on innovative ways of doing things. So that's also another way of scaling up things or taking it to a larger forum. I come to believe, I don't know, I may be wrong in my perspective. So scaling has various expressions. Like I said, advocacy is a way of scaling things up, because end of it, all of us are subject to certain limitations, but I still hold tremendous amount of faith in governments and public systems to be able to deliver something scaled, and also a space where you can demand justice. You can demand if something is not delivered. In spite of all the bureaucracy today, in spite of some compensation not coming today, there is a space where you can go and demand. So that is something, where this public institutions can still hold those dialogues, can discuss that, and then arrive at some ways of actually maybe phasing it out. I think, yeah, my relationship with information technology is bad. But in terms of using equipments which are a little more sophisticated, like I can't bake to save my life also. I just can't. I have tried to sit with the women and learn, but I can't make cookies. They turn out horrible. But those women use that big commercial oven, which I keep a distance from. I keep 6 feet distance from that oven because it's so intimidating for me. But they use it very, very confidently. And the last time, I think they had some problem with something burning off inside. And they said, one of the women said, just bring that electrician, teach me how to do this, because this has happened for the 3rd time. And the next time, I want to know to fix it myself. So it's been like that. Their adaptability to certain things, because for them, it's about this happening, this working for them. It's been an opportunity, it's a lifetime opportunity for them to actually own something and actually do this, have this independence outside of their homes. And they are really using it full-fledged. Yeah. And they push their limits. Not everybody, but we do have that leadership thing in Sparks in 2 or 3 of them. And the rest of them are there. And over a period of time, I think they'll also catch up on some points, depending on their abilities. Yeah. Development narrative, the way it is today, is a problem. See, development is important. Like I said, even with biotechnology, I'm not tech averse, but the need for certain things, and what is that convenience and what is that development going to deliver at the cost of what? Are we ready to do those cost benefit analysis before we push ourselves into these? The whole Northeast story is like, it's around a lot of things that they apparently seem to need because they are so resource rich. And for that, you need infrastructure, because it's not about just production. No? You need the whole logistics and the supply chain sorted. And how else do you do it other than destroying that ecosystem, breaking those mountains and making nice roads of it and maintaining those roads all the time? So it's no longer that natural systems that we had. So because there is so much happening around us, so much activity and so much innovation and so many bright minds, like I said, see, most of these innovations, I really appreciate them because they come out of really bright minds who are looking at, pushing their own boundaries and trying something new. Yeah. But should we be encouraging every scientific thing that is coming? Right? Like I know we had this discussion in ICMR, which is the nodal academic body in agriculture. So ICMR, the scientists were saying that in organic agriculture, they have around close to, in India, in that small setup, I think 1/5 of their, less than I think 5% of their energy is spent on organic agriculture. They have close to around 65,000 research papers, innovations ready on hand. And not yet gone into peer review also, and not yet gone into any space where it can actually get some voice. So that's the amount of work that happens, because we have innovative people. We are, in terms of education, in terms of higher education and all that, we are doing a lot of things. But how much can we encourage, put all that into practice and make sense? Because we still have so many legacy issues that we are still not sorted. So that needs a lot of political will. Not just, see, active citizenship is what I kept pushing on for the first 5 years. In fact, I always said, okay, as citizens, we should now start taking charge. So the first 5 years that I spent in the market, we kept telling citizens, eat better, don't buy in plastic, bring your own containers, do this, cook at home. It's okay, spend 2 hours cooking, buy mud pots, don't. So we did this for 5 years. And then I had to really step back and say, now, how much can we push citizenship into, every aspect, and tell that now, keep taking charge. And then the whole understanding of politics had to emerge at some point in time. Our citizenship lies there also. We have to ask the right political questions also, and not just keep pushing ourselves to the brink of madness. Being politically active citizens and understanding at every corporate solutions, looking at it, evaluating it, because we are the people who can do it. I cannot have this conversation in my village. I cannot tell those women to understand the larger scheme of things and look at everything that Swiggy is doing and try to figure out. So for them, it's a different narrative. We look at, okay, your panchayat, your Narega scheme, your money that's coming for watershed. So just focus on that. So this decentralized thought processes, and we being those conscious citizens, not just in our daily activities, but politically active citizens, where we are questioning structures. That's kind of important. And even now with advocacy also, we are pushing our boundaries. We are questioning more. We are like this entire last week we were engaged in discussing the Biodiversity Act. It seemingly looks like a Biodiversity Act has got nothing to do with food systems, but it's so important. The kind of changes that's being proposed now to the Biodiversity Act can largely impact what we are eating. It'll have a huge impact. So then there is the Forest Rights Act. So I mean, even I would say 10 years, 5 years back, if you had asked me on how does Forest Rights Act impact you, other than, of course, my existence in Bannerghatta, I wouldn't have been able to connect it to food systems. But today I know it is so important. it's very important to establish those rights and have those community rights in place, because it's only when your forest land, your grassland, and your common lands make sense that agriculture makes sense for the community. Today, the biggest challenge that we have is the way the forest department has been looking at grasslands. Afforestation happens on grasslands, and grasslands are very important for farmers. If we do not have that ecosystem, that microclimate, and if we do not have support the pastoral community or the livestock that the farmers are today integrating with farming. Okay, we talk about organic agriculture, we talk about a no fertilizer agriculture. Animals are very important in that. And you cannot expect farmers in India, 80% of the farmers in India are small farmers who have less than 2 or 2.5 acres of land holding. You can't expect them to set aside fodder lands, and that is where we had common lands. Parallelly, you have so many other things happen. You are educating the next generation, and you are giving them education which is so irrelevant for them for the space that they are living in. Like most of the kids in my village have no idea about the forest, no idea about the elephants and the birds in Ragihalli, but they seem to understand what a HR job in IT company means. The girls I talk to aspire for very clearly. They say, no, I want to work in the HR department in an IT company, startup. So that's where they're oriented. So with these systems, it's going to take a lot of efforts, and that political awareness, I think, is very important. So I still don't know. I mean, when we have challenges like how do I cook with red rice and how do I cook with an earthen pot, I feel it may be very, very challenging for me to tell consumers, come on now, ask more questions, ask about what policies are done, ask about the acts, ask about the regulations. So we said, okay, I mean, at least some of us have put our time and space here. So as civil society organizations, we will take those responsibilities, whether you permit us or not. But we would like validations, we would like permissions, we would like people as consumers also guiding us and telling us, yes, this is also a question that we have. Because otherwise we are also again, sitting amongst us and looking at the world from our own perspectives. Yeah. So that's where this market and those interactions has helped us. Even if it's a very basic question, probably I have outgrown those questions. Like I have cracked cooking with red rice. I know how it happens and I know how to do it easily also. But it's still valid for me, because if on this date the same question persists, even after 10 years or 15 years, I know it's valid. Yeah. So we need to really look at it a little more.